Thank you. Well, as you can see, this is about developing your professional brand on LinkedIn. I think in the last couple of years I've presented and we've really got into looking at your own profile and things of that nature, but we're going to look more broadly around brand and the components of brand and then how you can actually develop those using LinkedIn. So next slide, please. So in this workshop, I'll do a little intro on why LinkedIn anyway, but I'm sure most of you are already on it, so I'm speaking to the, trying to preach to the converted. Then looking at the 3 C's of LinkedIn professional branding, and as Luke said, we'll explore some of the pros and cons of the paid LinkedIn tools, and then questions. And I'd love in the questions, if you have experience with some of the paid tools, I'd love you to share yours as well, just so, because it's not just me sort of speaking the whole time, everyone's got different experiences on social media and it changes all the time. So there really are no experts in social media. I see myself as an enthusiast, and I probably use it too much, but anyway. So next slide, please. So I love this quote because I think it really sums up professional branding, really. So if people like you, they'll listen to you, but they have to really trust you to do business with you. So trust is really the ultimate goal that you're trying to achieve with a professional brand, particularly with a business, because people want to feel like they can count on you to give their money to you to get that service and their expectations met. So next slide, please. Thanks. And so this sort of part of the presentation is just looking at the introduction, but then we'll move on to those components. So the beauty of LinkedIn is that it's a professional context. So people are there. I mean, some people still use it and put their, cat photos on there, which shouldn't be there, and they stick out like a sore thumb and their holiday images. But it's there for people in a professional context. So people are there to talk about work. They're there to talk about their industry. They're there to look for work. They're there to share information. They're there to help each other in a professional context. So that's why it's such an amazing platform for business. The reach is still amazing. So on LinkedIn. So if you look at it in comparison to, say, Facebook now on a business page, you're lucky if 6% of the people who follow the page are actually going to see your content because they want you to spend money and boost it. But on LinkedIn, although it's not, astronomical, but it's better. It's better than, you have a lot more organic reach when you use the mechanisms, and I will talk about that, to increase that reach. So it's still pretty reasonable. And the search functionality on LinkedIn is getting better all the time. And so I've been able to pull off amazing sort of things on LinkedIn through that search functionality. So I arranged, when we could still travel, I arranged a social media study tour in Mumbai for students at the university just from LinkedIn. I just found digital marketing agencies where we could go and visit, and I planned that tour just through LinkedIn. I've been able to reach out to other professionals all around the world in different industries, and it's because you can search by industry, you can search by country, and locations and even specialities. So it's really great to be able to find the people that you need to connect with. Next slide. And it's growing all the time. So that's a good thing and it's a bad thing. So there was a report that came out, I think, last week from LinkedIn. They do a transparency report every year. And they said that there are still a number of, they're reducing the number of fake profiles on the platform because that has been an issue. But they are getting better with the technology to actually find those and reduce those. But the number of people actually adopting it as a platform for business is growing, which is good in a way, because then there's more people that you can connect with and prospective leads as well for your business. And the other beauty of it is there are more consumers than prosumers. So a prosumer is when you're producing content as well as consuming content. So you're posting. So there's more people looking at the content than creating it. So it means you have a great opportunity to post on there and have more people see it. So at this stage of the game, people are there to scroll rather than to post on there. So the chances of people seeing what you post are much greater than on Facebook, where there are still some scrollers on there, of course, but people generally are, sharing a lot more on Facebook. I think people who are joining LinkedIn, I think generally are still sort of finding their feet, and they're a bit shy maybe about sort of posting and promoting their brand in that way. And so that's why there are more people just looking rather than actually actively creating content and posting it. Now this figure, look, being in research, it's highly questionable, 277%, but this is where I found, if you look on the slide, you can click through and look at the source, but basically, LinkedIn is better at lead generation because, as I said, it's a professional context. People are there in a business context, and so they're more likely to respond to you, and it's easier to find them than, say, on something like Facebook. On Facebook and Instagram, it depends on your industry. But generally, people are there to do social things. They're there to look at their friends and connect with their friends and their family and interact in groups and things of that nature. They're not really there in a business mindset so much, but on LinkedIn, that's what they're there for. So it's like, say, on Google, when you're on Google, you're searching for something. You're looking for something, you're there with a task in mind. And so that's why on LinkedIn, people are, I guess, more open to that, to being sort of approached and having that interaction that can actually follow through and lead to business. Next slide, please. So, from my research and from my own experience as well, I've found that these are really the core components of a really strong professional brand. So, and I'm sure it's really, I'm sure you all get this anyway, but trust is so essential as part of it. If people trust you, then your brand is strong, and that's what you should be aiming for. Your credibility lies in your experience, your professional experience, your qualifications, your credentials, and your knowledge in a particular field. And then service, so not the services you're selling, but in your approach and your attitude to actually helping others within your professional community. So bringing those things together can really help to generate a really strong professional brand and a strong reputation and positive reputation for you. Next slide. And so could you go back a slide? Yeah, thank you. Now, moving on, now putting that in the context of LinkedIn. So these are 3 components that can help you to build those core components of brand. So the content that you create, that you share, that you interact with, the connections that you make, that you accept as well, and we'll go through all of these in detail, and then of course the community that you're part of. Okay, thank you. So we'll go through each of those C's. So first, content. So the importance of a professional profile and headline, and I won't go through the whole profile again because I've done that before. Then we're going to look at a way to expand and elevate your brand by connecting with other people and other experts in your field, and then the types of content that you can use. So, next slide. So, I don't know about this guy taking a profile photo, but I strongly recommend, even every 1 or 2 years, getting a professional photo done. It can really help with bringing more people to you. So Carlos is there going, yeah. So yeah, so I can just, you can see there, a profile with photos. There's still people on LinkedIn who don't have a photo, and that comes back to, will you trust someone who doesn't have a photo? I won't ever accept a request from someone who doesn't have a photo, because I want to see who it is, you know. So, and I can only go on like my experience with this as well, that I used to use like a selfie taken with my phone. And then I thought, look, I'm going to have to, you know, I'm going to have to up the game a bit. So I had a professional headshot done, and it wasn't a serious, like, you know, headshot. It was actually, I think it might have even been the one that was used on the Facebook promo for this event, and I was laughing, you know, in it. So I wasn't like this cold sort of corporate person, and it showed my personality. I was wearing the same shirt, unfortunately, but I saw that tonight when I walked in. I'm like, oh no, that'll be one of the questions. Do you have anything else to wear? But it showed me, you know. So it showed me as an approachable, friendly person, you know, and just because it was taken by a professional as well, it just looked of a high quality. And that, like, I never used to get really many requests or opportunities with the photo that I took, but when I changed it and put that up, I started to get it a lot more. A lot of sort of speaking events and invitations to collaborate and go on podcasts and all this sort of stuff, so opportunities to keep elevating my brand as well. So I really recommend that. And as I said, you know, make sure that it shows who you are. So I saw a great one tonight. This lady, you've got an amazing profile photo, and it's really colourful, and it really shows your personality. And if I saw that, I'd want to connect, because it shows you as like it showed an insight into who you are, you know, and that's what the opportunity is with that profile photo. It can actually show a hint of who you are. And in your headline, so when you put your title, usually there's been research to show that using say verbs and keywords that you think people in your industry or prospective customers would be using to find someone like you, make sure you use those words in your headline in a way that makes sense. So don't just stuff it with random words, but something like, you know, helping small business owners or something of that nature can actually help people find you. So it's applying those sort of search engine optimization principles to your profile, so people can find it and use the search function to its, you know, best of its ability. Next slide. Another exercise, and I get my students to do this as well, and it's Dennis Yu's topic wheel. So Dennis Yu, he's a really great digital marketer from the USA, and so he recommends doing this to really help you flesh out what your brand is, and then taking it one step further. So you write down, so you put your image in that little photo, in that little center, and then you come up with 6 topics that are of interest to you. They can be professional, they can be hobbies, but they're all facets of you, because that's what your brand is. It's not trying to be something else. It's really amplifying who you are and leveraging that. So you write down those 6 areas of your interest. And then think about, and when I say influencers, I'm not talking, well, it might be like the Instagram bikini models, but I'm not really talking about that. But I'm talking about, say, you know, there must be someone you look up to in your field, in that particular area. It might be someone you follow and you like their content. And write down the name of someone in each of those areas that you follow. And then, I think it's the next slide. Yeah, step 3. Then think of ways that you may be able to actually interview them. You know, just reach out. You might get a lot of no's, but you might get a yes, you know, and you could do something like think of some great questions to ask them. See if you can do a Zoom with them, and even you could do something like work out a Zoom. It could be like 10 minutes. Record it. You could try and edit it up, or get someone to edit it up for you for the different platforms. LinkedIn, generally, 1-minute videos go pretty well on LinkedIn. or you could even get it transcribed, turn into a blog, like an article for LinkedIn. There's so many different ways you can repurpose that content. Just by doing a 10-minute interview with someone. And then the beauty of it is we'll talk about how great tagging people's profiles in your posts are, because then you can tag that person in and all of their contacts will see it as well. And so it'll show you that you're aligned with a person who is considered an expert in that particular area, and you show that sort of partnership. So that's just one way that you could get around elevating your brand with content on LinkedIn. Next slide. And there's so many different content types now. So there's curated content. So that's where you can just share other people's posts, or you might find a great article and you can share that. That's a form of curated content. So it's not always you having to create everything from scratch yourself. You could just share it and write in a little line about it, or you could actually create it. So there's text-based stuff as well, as you know, and then images. One of the most effective sort of image-based content formats that's working at the moment really well are the slides. So they're multiple, they're images, but they're almost like a presentation that you can put up, say 3 or 4 slides that tell a story, because people are sort of clicking through them and they get a lot of reach at the moment. Video is okay. It's not getting as much reach as it used to, but it's still doing okay. With live video, you have to apply for that, but you can, it is possible to apply and get that. So, and when you do that, everyone in your network will see when you go live as well. But clearly with live, make it something that people are interested in, because otherwise they won't. And have a plan for what you're going to do as well. So make sure you have I do one every week, but it's actually a research project where I interview uni grads who studied social media, really to find out what their career journey, but what they found helpful, but what we didn't teach them that they needed, So it's more so I can keep doing better at my job and use it as research. And so I've got sort of emerging professionals watching that. So having a plan around that. Edited video, of course, and stories now, which are still highly questionable. People are still working out how to use them and how well they're actually going to work. And then now, soon to be on its way, is audio. So Clubhouse is a new social media platform that it's sort of like live interactive podcasts, and it's been hugely popular. So now all the other platforms are scrambling to create their own version. So LinkedIn's the same. So it'll probably be available, in the next few months for that. So that would be good in the sense of, it's just sort of audio discussion. So there's no visual element. It's like sort of radio and listening to chats. Next slide. So that's content. So next is connections. So we're going to talk about relevance in terms of connections, and then leveraging the tagging functionality of LinkedIn, because that's really powerful, and then company page invitations. So next slide. So I always have a checklist when someone sends me a request. So it's, do I know this person? Are they in my industry? And does this person work in your field? Are they related to your professional area? And also, who's in their network? So the thing is, if you accept everybody, it means that when you post something and it's of no relevance to the people you are connected with, no one will interact with that piece of content. And if no one interacts with that piece of content, the algorithm on LinkedIn will be, well, it's not a valuable piece of content, and won't show it to anyone else. So the more people that interact with a piece of content, the further it actually travels. So you want to make sure that what you're doing, your content's relevant to your audience. So you want to make sure that the people you're connected with are actually interested in the stuff that you're posting. So if you have you accept everyone, again, it's like quality over quantity. So just be mindful about who you're accepting. Because sometimes I get requests from people from a whole range of different countries that have no sort of relationship to what I'm doing at all, like in completely different fields, and I'd sort of hang back on doing that because I want to make an impact and build connections with people within my industry area. Next slide. Now, leveraging and tagging, and I use the word appropriately because there are some organisations that understand that if you tag an organisation or tag someone's profile, a lot of people who are connected with them will see that. So they'll be notified, they'll see that piece of content, it'll appear on their feed. However, there's an organisation that shall remain nameless who tags like 30 people on their posts because they know that, and it's just annoying. So then it means that the post is of no relevance to me. They tag me. All right, I'm telling you the story. They tag me. It annoys me, and so they tag me, and then every interaction with that post, I turn off the interactions in the end because it drives me insane. But they're just using that. The post is of no relevance to me, but they're using my network. So they're just using all those people's network to get the reach. And yes, it works, but you're not going to really build great relationships by doing that. So make sure that when you tag people that are relevant. So it could be someone in like the same, like if there's a photo of both of you, tag them then. If you're working on a project together, tag them then. If you're asking a question or something, it's a post they might be interested in, absolutely tag them. But yeah, just be relevant, as I said. And when you're like answering or responding to comments, always tag the person that you're speaking to in the comments, because that also increases the reach of that post as well. So it's a great feature. It's working really well still, so I'm not sure how long it will. But yeah, that's a great feature that you can use to get your content and make it reach further. Next. And company page invitation. So who has a company page for their business on LinkedIn? Yeah, and so some of the, and you might already have done this already, but some of the businesses I work with, they've created a page, but they haven't done the next step of actually inviting people to like the page and follow the page. They haven't shared the page with anyone, so they've just built it and just said no one likes my page, but no one knows it's there. So you have to invite people to like it. You can share it. You can even share it on other platforms to let people know. There's that functionality on the actual page. You can do that, and you can also. When you're posting or sharing content, it's good to share content from the company page on your profile too, because then it shows that you're aligned with that, because they may not know that that's even your business. So it also makes that connection for people as well. There's also a way that you can on the company page that you've got, you can have 3 hashtags. You can choose 3 hashtags related to that. If you click on those hashtags, say for example, mine is like digital marketing. If I click on that, I go to the page that has all the posts that has digital marketing, and then I can interact with that content as my company page. So that's a good way to sort of people go, well, who's that? And then they'll go to your company page and check you out as well. So that's just other ways that you can use your company page to amplify your brand. Next slide. So the next C is community. So regular participation. I'm sorry, but it's true. So leaving valuable comments and connecting others. So next slide, please. So we're all time poor. I get it. I totally get it. And I'm not expecting you just to be on there for hours a day. But it's really important to be consistent, even if it's a couple of minutes a day. As part of your daily routine, to go on and just like something, comment on something if it's relevant and valuable, just to keep it going, because it's almost like it keeps the momentum going with your content as well. So, and what you're doing, it just keeps your brand out there and people keep seeing what you're doing. If you vanish for a month and then pop back up, it'll take a while for people to start sort of seeing you again. So sometimes people say to me, you're everywhere, and it's like, I might seem like that, but I'm not. I might pop on. I'm not on there every day posting every single day. I post when I've got, I think something worthwhile to post, but I do go on and interact for a couple of minutes a day just to just to see what's happening and keep my brand out there. It can be as simple as, like, if you're reading an article like in an online newspaper or industry magazine or something, just sharing the link. If it's worthwhile to other people in your industry and you found that article interesting, put it in a post. Just share the link and write a line about why you found it interesting, and that's producing content. Like, it can be that easy. So and it's about being of service as well. So by sharing things that you found helpful. And the other thing is, what I've noticed lately is, like, just pure text posts on LinkedIn are really getting a lot of reach at the moment. So photos are doing better than video, but it depends on who you've tagged in the photo as well and their network, but relevant, remember. But I've just done some posts and experiments where it's just been text and a few hashtags, and the reach has been probably 10 times more than on a photo. So it's worth experimenting with your own content as well, just to see. So you could even just write, you could even write a couple of lines about what you learned here tonight, or what you didn't learn and wish you did learn, and just do that and post that. Just a couple of written lines of text, and just see what happens. But using a couple of hashtags helps as well. Next post. And leaving valuable comments, and I emphasize valuable. So the thing is, remember, everyone's an expert in their industry area, because why would you be working in it? Even when you're learning that particular industry, you still would know more than people who aren't familiar with it. So comment on the area in your industry area, and provide facts about it. So don't jump onto someone's thing and give your opinion about an area you know nothing about. And I only say it because it happens. It happens regularly. So stay in your lane, and by doing that, people start to know what area your professional professional sort of knowledge lies. So, and you can start to build that up. So. Providing, I've seen great posts where people have asked a question and then others have popped, links to articles or provided or tagged someone else in even who might know more, just to bring people together. And that's almost like my next slide. But so it's about sort of providing value and answering, when you can and when you think you can help. And provide advice only when someone is asking for advice as well. So, and people do post when they need help. So, and if you can help, please help. And then again, tagging the people that you're talking to. It's a golden rule on LinkedIn, because it just helps to get your brand out more. And connecting others. So this, I've found, like, some of the people on LinkedIn, or even just in general, who have a really strong professional brand are those who not only interact with their own connections, but they bring people together who don't know each other, who could actually work well together. So it's bringing people together. So if someone's asking, on LinkedIn, do you know anyone who works in this field, and then tagging people in if you know. Another great way I've seen is LinkedIn groups. They used to be amazing. They're not so popular now, but group chats are really going well. So you could start a group chat with people that you're connected with about a particular topic. So there's one that it's ongoing. I've stopped getting the notifications because I can't keep up, but there's one on social selling. And there's people in there from all around the world just sharing advice and information, and it's almost like this exclusive little chat professionals in that field. So you could actually start something like that and bring people together to talk about, might be some big industry change that's happened that you want to bring together people who could actually have a really decent discussion about what they're planning to do, how they're planning to approach it and get around it. And then again, running a networking event, of course, it takes a lot of work, I know, but you could do like an online one. It's just a way of establishing your brand by showing that you know different people and like-minded people who could work together. So, I was just going to ask, do you have any questions about the 3 C's before we move on to the paid tools? Yeah.
I wanted to ask about the videos that you were talking about. Do they have to be live, or is it okay like link to YouTube or wherever you have?
I think it's more acceptable on LinkedIn to link to YouTube. It's always better to upload natively into the platform. Like, you will get more reach because they don't want people. You can watch it within within LinkedIn, but I think LinkedIn really wants you to upload straight into their platform. So it's better to upload than link across. Like, you would never say upload, like use a YouTube link on Facebook, because they just decrease the reach so much. But yeah, on LinkedIn it's you can, but it's better to upload directly. Yeah. Yes.
As a business or a company page, how often should you post? Once a day, 3 times a day?
When you have something worthwhile to say. Is my
So
yeah.
you should go a couple of days a week?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's really around like what value are you going to bring to the people who follow the page by posting this content. So yeah, I think about the audience first, and then post accordingly. So it's better to post once or twice a week with stuff that's really helpful and valuable than posting every day because you feel like you have to. Yeah, because it sort of works against your brand as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Could you explain how hashtags work? So not tagging people.
Yep.
You see some people with lots and lots of hashtags, and they're on topics. So how does that increase?
It just means that, so if you clicked on that hashtag on LinkedIn, it would take you to a page where it has all the content that other people have posted that uses that same hashtag. So it just groups it together. And some people actually follow the hashtag pages, so then they're notified as well. So what used to happen, I haven't seen it so much lately, but maybe my content hasn't been very good, but you used to be able to sometimes your content would trend. You'd be notified that your content would trend on a particular hashtag as well. And then when that happens, all your connections are notified that you're trending. So yeah, so it's just another way to increase the reach, and it's really about getting your content seen by people you're not connected with as well.
Is there a limit to how many hashtags you can put on a single post?
There's no limit, but I'm like, you probably wouldn't want to do more than 3. Like, some people go overboard, but yeah, I mean, it's up to you. But I've seen some people actually putting some in the comments, so to sort of make it look a bit cleaner on the actual post. Yeah, so it just sort of doesn't look so spammy. So yeah, so maybe it's good to experiment and see what works. Yeah.
I've had a lot of people, the DM rich people that connect with you and
Yes.
hi, come to my webinar and all of those things. Is it worth going through and culling all of those and going for the quality of quantity with LinkedIn now?
I would be like, I would look at, is this of interest to me? You know, and that's the main thing. Like, look at it as how valuable is that going to be for you? So, and then cull accordingly. Yeah.
I find most of them, like, they'll message you in your own industry. So if you're in marketing,
Yeah.
they message you to sell marketing, and it's just
Yeah, it's really no.
research and spam.
Yeah, and I get that a bit as well. Or you get the people who connect with you, and then it's like you have it, and you accept them. You're like, okay, yeah. And then sometimes it's been like 2 minutes. They've pitched me in the messages, and I'm like, you don't even know me. Like, so yeah, I would. It's all about what's value to you, and then yeah. And I would also, just target your stuff like that as well. You can see with that stuff what not to do. So, yeah. I think I did a part of a presentation on, I forget what I called it, but it was all the bad messages I got. Yeah, the bad pictures. Yeah.
Follow-up question.
Oh,
Sorry.
it's okay.
Is there any preference for content type? Facebook for a while there was prioritizing video, for example.
Well, I think at the moment, I think text on its own is doing really well, and images are still doing well. But it's also around who you're tagging. I think sometimes there's this magic combination that it can just go crazy. But there's no recipe. But a lot of it is experimenting. But I've noticed on my own content that just text on its own is doing much better at the moment. But that can change. So yeah.
How do you keep up to date with those trends?
It's just experimentation, honestly. It just is just make sure that you're looking at how your content's performing, and then always look at the results, like how many people have seen it, how many people have liked it and interacted with it, and then use that to keep enhancing what you do. Yeah. You're next, I promise. Yeah.
I just want to ask you, so if you're commenting and liking other people's posts, does that boost your profile?
It can, yeah. Yep, it can. And particularly if you're leaving a comment and you're tagging them in, that can also do that as well. Oh, really? Wow, I've got 5 minutes. I haven't even done the end of it yet. Last question.
Is it okay to put your URL in your comments, in your post?
Yeah, absolutely. And there was a time there where, and I don't know if it's still the same, that it was better to put a URL in the comments than in the main post anyway. So experiment with that. All right, let's quickly move on. I've got 5 minutes. So these are the paid tools. Could you do the next slide? So LinkedIn Premium. So I don't know about you, but I'm constantly getting invitations to pay for this. I don't have it. This stuff's good if you're looking for work, if you are going to use, and all these tools can be helpful if you're using LinkedIn for your main source of lead generation. So they can amplify it, they can improve it. It depends on what you need. So it means that you can contact anyone. So at the moment, you can only sometimes contact certain people that you're connected with. You can see who's browsed your profile. So when people turn that off, you can actually see who has done that and who's been stalking you. And you have more sort of analytics to use to improve that. But it does cost money, and it's pay for play in terms of extended reach. Next one. LinkedIn ads. So these can be, it depends what you're selling. So if what you're selling is expensive, it can help. But if what you're selling is not so expensive, it can be very expensive to run the ads. So it can cost sometimes more than $2 per click through on an ad, which, if you're selling a boat, it might be okay, it might be worth it, but if you're selling a book, it may not be so worth it. The targeting can be quite good, and there's a whole range of ad types according to that sort of funnel process and the customer journey of awareness, consideration, conversion. And but from the reports that I've seen, it's not as good as in terms of the audience targeting as on something like Facebook, but again, it's a different context. But you can target profession and things like that. So it depends what you're selling, and the reporting it could be better. Next slide. And LinkedIn Sales Navigator, I've heard really good reports about this for businesses who are searching for leads on LinkedIn. So again, you can contact anyone, and it gives you recommendations on people who might fit what you're looking for as well. So it does that, it's automated in that sense. And I don't know what happened to my text there, but if you're using a CRM, customer relationship management software, it can integrate with that, so that can be really helpful. But it is quite expensive. It depends on the size of your business. You can build lists of people as well, but it takes time to do that, and then you can't actually apparently share them with other people. So that might have changed, but yeah, but I have heard, it depends what you're doing and how you're working with it, but it can, if you've got a business whose prime function is using LinkedIn to source leads, it can be helpful. Next slide. How am I doing? Like 1 minute. So we're nearly at the end. So to recap, so the three key areas of brand on LinkedIn or not on LinkedIn, you really, the whole aim is to build trust. You want people to trust what you do and trust what you know, and know that they can count on you. They want to also feel like you're credible in your knowledge and your experience in your professional area, that what you're telling them is accurate. And then service, so your contribution to people, your willingness to help them. And I'm not talking about giving away free information and free like giving away your services for free, but it's more around, just being that helpful presence to bring people together to and sort of really help to foster that community. And then content, connections, and community is how you can actually do that using LinkedIn. Next slide. And so we've had some questions, so if you have any more, if we have time, and if you are interested in, like I also co-found Dharana Digital, and so we do SEO, we do training and stuff as well, and then January my book came out. That's available on Amazon or Palgrave Macmillan. I don't have any copies tonight because it's through the publisher. So if you want to email me, please do. I've got a card, or find me on LinkedIn. So I think that's it. Thank you very much.